Hey, 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 the people have been asking about this car. We're going to bring you an update soon.
It's done in like
Franklin's
1 week.
It's finally there's progress.
I have everything I need.
Everything's here.
Now I just gotta put it in the oven, let it bake.
We should just film. I'll just come back up when you get it going.
Yeah. That's
cool. Right when you're ready to fire it, we'll film an update on it because everybody's been asking about this in the channel
it needs to be flashed
for a long time.
It needs to be flashed.
Yeah, you need like a base map.
So it's gonna be flashed and then it'll be done that day. So kind of.
Okay. Okay. I'm excited for you though because Frankie's finally gonna drift with us. Tony Baloney's build. M52 non-vanos.
M50.
M50.
M50 non-vanos.
Turbo.
Stock. And then with the turbo.
He's fully stock full. Sick car. That's not why we're here though. Tony has actually, as you can tell, has his E30 and came here to bug you. I just told people let's go bug Tony, so here we are, bugging you. Way more excited. Cheers. But Tony has an E30. He's done the coilover to the knuckle setup before, so he's going to give us some tips and tricks and kind of explain how we're going to do this. So what do we do?
Pretty much. We're going to rip it all apart, take the cartridge out, and then we're going to...
Wait, the cartridge physically gets removed?
Yeah. From
this whole thing?
Yeah.
What if you just cut it? Can you just cut it?
Fluid or something's probably going to go all over the place.
But it's possible.
I wouldn't do that.
If hypothetically speaking, if you had a grinder and you went out into the dirt and you cut it, you don't have to take it apart?
Maybe, I don't recommend that.
So you tear apart the top hat, and then the actual cartridge comes out of the sleeve, huh?
Yeah, it screws out. I think you might actually be able to see some threads right there. Screws out, and then we're going to cut inch and a quarter, prep that surface down here, and then weld that guy on. Slip it on and weld it on.
So if I cut it 1.25 inches here, I don't have to take apart any of the other stuff.
No.
How long is this cartridge, do you know? So what if I drill a hole, depressurize it, then I cut it? Sick, we're gonna do it like that. I have to take off all the other stuff though, right? To weld it?
Yeah.
Let's start dismantling this and then I'll figure out if I do it your way or my way.
The right way.
Do these go on like any specific size? Doesn't look like. Looks like they're the same.
No, it slips on all the same. That guy, you just adjust to the way it needs to be.
For the brake line or something like that?
Yep.
Sweet. Let's cut these up and get this done. We're not doing it Tony's way. I'm going to try to do it my way. So I drilled a pilot hole. Now I'm going to go into the cartridge. Oh, is that it? That's all she wrote? Is that what you were worried about? Done, Tony. Wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad, dude. Let's go drill this one out. These things are freaking heavy, dude. Oh, it didn't even have any oil. That was dry. Now we'll disassemble these and then I'll show you how to cut them. Watch out, stand that thing up. Stand that thing up. Forget this guy. Rotate it, keep going. There you go, just like that. Hold it. Hold fast, brother. Oh my God. Just hold it, just hold it. Oh no. Oh, I lost the belt. Damn it, Tony! Threw the belt. Oh man, so close to freaking showing you up. All right, Tony. Now let's fit check it. And then from there, weld it on. Seems pretty easy. Now it's time for Tony. Tony Baloney welded them up. They're nice and toasty right now. But that's pretty much it. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Proper Fab. Thank you, BC. It's time to head back to the house and get those Condor bushings going so we can throw this car back together. Threw them in real fast. Pretty simple. Just the way you took them apart, they go back together. I'm going to end up doing a little bit of work to these calipers and then throwing the rotors all back on afterward. Before we get too far into the front end, I really want to finish the rear end. We have the bushings that need to be done in the control arms, and we also have the bushings that need to be done on the subframe and the diff. So we'll jump in and try to get all the bushings swapped on this before it gets too late. So we'll probably start with the trailing arm ones first. Javier's here. Looks like it's going to be just like most bushings. You'll heat up the outer edge of the bushing, and then it'll cause the rubber just inside to melt, and then you should be able to smack these little bushings out. So take these bolts out, and we'll jump into the process and see if we can make that happen. As far as these boys, those look like they're in there pretty good. Maybe we'll chop the head off and then heat it up and smack it down. The diff one, I think we're going to have to do some stuff. I don't know yet. But let's jump into the trailing arms first. All right, so it's kind of like your typical setup. Right, the bushings have been in there for so long that the outer edge of the bushing is getting really stuck to this metal control arm. So the idea is that we take the heat and we melt the bushing just a little bit to get that sticky layer off of there. And then I kind of repurpose actually a Condor Speed Shop tool. This is to remove the rear trailing arm bushings from the E36 chassis. So I kind of took off the trailing arm bushing parts and I used a couple sockets. Now it should potentially work. We've already done one, so just kind of show you. Rigged up a tool real quick, but now what should happen is now that bushing's kind of hanging out there. We just heated up this outer layer here and just wanted to get that sticky adhesiveness off that arm. So now that that's off, we can kind of smack it through. Ooh, that arm's hot. Ow! All right, now that's out. Then we'll take the hammer and this trash bolt that we have laying around and use it to smack the socket back out. There you go. Make sure it's all nice and clean, which it's for sure gonna have some rubber left around in there. We'll take our camber toe adjustable bushings and insert it. So on the E30, if you look at the OEM bushings, the thicker side is on the outer edges of the control arms. Big lip is toward the diff and the big lip on the outside is toward the wheel. So we have the adjuster side is gonna be on the inside by the diff, and then this one should go in motivation from the hammer. Notice I'm using like a flat face hammer. I'm not using like a waffle pattern or anything like that. You don't want to damage them. There you have it, it's in. Kind of like, there's better ways to do this. You can kind of press them back in, you can do whatever you want, but usually you don't need to. I think that when I used the hammer on this side, I think I smacked it and beveled the control arm a little bit, so it's dragging on the bushing. Actually, I know I did because I can see the little tag here coming off, but you'll do that whole process and repeat it. So a little bit of heat, and then some type of like all thread with a couple of nuts and some sockets, and you can get away with some greatness. We'll do the rest of them. Now that I've shown you one, I'll burn through them. All right, so I wanted to show you what makes these trailing arm bushings so special. So when you get your kit from Condor, it'll come included with this wrench here. It's a spanner wrench, just like for your coilovers. Condor did something cool where you don't have to do any welding or any fabrication stuff to get your control arms to decrease your camber. So in an E30, you're going to gain a lot of negative camber. So when you slam it, the wheel is going to begin to lean in. That's negative camber. So what you want to do is, because we're going to lower the car, we want to bring the negative back to positive. And so we want to essentially lift the inside of the arm and lower the outside. So we're taking the arms that are connecting like this, and we're wanting to turn them like that to increase positive camber when we slam the car. So the way that you're going to do that is Camber made these offset control arms with the spanner wrench. So as I turn the inner side of the bushing, there's actually like a nut here, or there's actually an adjustment because they're oblong. So if I want to raise the inside of this, which is what I want to do, then I'll go up. I'll spin this so that the offset is up. So I'm starting to go down there. So I want to bring it back up to the top. So that'll be about that setting. Now what I'm going to want to do with the outside is lower it as much as possible. So I need to find out what the lowest position is as I spin the adjuster here in the bushing. So right there, now it's walking forward. If I come back, that should be at its lowest position possible. So now the arm is as high as it can be on the inside and as low as it can be on the outside to, again, add positive camber, because we're going to be lowering the car and creating negative. So these arms kind of like the rear end in the E30 kind of sucks, especially for like drifting, because then you gain this camber and then you're using half your tire and you don't have traction, so it's hard to get forward grip. So with this helps fight that negative camber increase a little bit. How much exactly, I don't know yet. We'll find out. But again, this car isn't going to be produced for drifting. It's going to be drifted, but it's not. We're not building this car to drift. We're building to go have some fun in the mountains. They also adjust toe. Let me just say that. You can also adjust toe. You can rotate it and it'll pull it in or pull it back, or it'll kind of do this with the arms as well, along with up and down. So you can really, you have like a hole there, and then there's like an egg shape to it. So as you turn it, it rotates. It kind of cams the control arm. So where it's at right now is going to be good enough for what we want to do. And then we'll have to adjust depending on toe and all that stuff. So we'll run this guy in now, and that adjustment now is locked in place. Do the same thing with this side, and now that adjustment's locked in place. So the arm still spins freely on the bushing, but it does not change the adjustment on your camber or your toe. Pretty rad. Time to move on to the big dogs. So the subframe bushing should be a little bit easier as we heat them up. You'll see the rubber start to come out of the top there. I'll show you that. Yeah, rubber start to come out. You gotta be a little careful. You don't want to have that pop and stick to you. Hot plastic and sticky rubber is really hard to get off as it's burning you. But with this being so damn hot, it should be a lot easier to get out. This is the same tool, by the way. This is the actual. These are the actual fittings. And this tool you can rent from Condor, or you can buy it. So it'll be kind of like the AutoZone thing. You rent it for a certain price, and then you can keep it and keep your money, or you can return it and you get your money back. Smells like burning rubber. That's pretty much it. After you do that, just grab your trusty hammer, pick her up a bit, give her a good tap. There it is. There's your old OEM bushing. So I'll grab a rag and clean that out, and then we can insert the new one. Okay, so these are the riser bushings. This also is going to help get rid of that negative camber. So we're combining two things in one. So we're also raising the subframe so that when we don't have to necessarily lower our suspension as much, because the subframe is going higher into the car. So it's 12 mils, which isn't a ton, but everything adds up. Washer upper bushing, lower bushing, and then the reinforcement plate, which is back there on the floor. So this thin boy is going to be up top. It's got grooves in it, so you can line up with these dimples that are inside here. Like such. And then you're going to want to line up those dimples again on the top. Then we can take the hammer and tap that in. There it is, boys. So when we install this back into the car, it'll also compress the bushings all the way down, and we'll get some of that stuff done, and then we'll throw the OEM washer back in there, recompress the whole system, and you're good to go. I'll do the other one, and then gotta get this thing in the car already, dude. All right, so last but not least is differential bushing. And I've had bad luck with these before. This one's actually in really good shape, especially for being from the 90s. Yet again, we have a condor replacement. The idea that this needs to be swapped is because those are nice and stiff now. This one's loose. If this is loose, you can cause some issues. Most of your chassis are having issues and cracking subframes or chassis because this stuff gets loose, and then those studs get worked, and then before you know it, you're stretching all that metal, and then things start to crack. So, and then obviously there's the level of higher horsepower, you'll start to crack things. But most of you guys in the stock cars are breaking them because the bushings are bad. So if you want to like preserve the life of your chassis, definitely put bushings in. Get yourself some Condor stuff. Again, the other stuff, just no bueno. So I got to get this out. The reason I've had bad luck before is that I've smacked it with hammers and I've broken this ear tab off. Not on this, but on an E36. This looks like it has a little bit more surface, but it's also a bigger setup. So the plan is to kind of cut some stuff out of here and try to cut this metal sleeve, and then we can kind of change the outer diameter of the bushing and potentially get it out that way. So this is not exactly the way you're supposed to do it. I'm sure there's a way easier or better way to do it. But yeah, whatever, dude. Looks like I'm through there. Ooh. If I can get this to stay in there like that, then I can hit it a lot harder. Oh no, dude. Oh no. Dude, I need that, dude. Okay, let's see if we can get it to bounce out. Voila. So it just saws all the edge. Boom, bada boom. Mr. Worldwide. Ha, dale. And then you can... and then you can smack it, and then yep,
Just like that.
Distracted, dude. Pitbull. Swear, dude. It's a worldwide. Well, I smashed that lip with a hammer. Dale. All the bushings on the rear end are done. I'll swap the brake lines that are underneath the car. I'm not really going to show you how to do those. Being as it's fairly simple. These two tools right here. You need an 11 mil brake line wrench. Brake line meaning that it's not just open, it has an actual curve so it catches more edges. And then a crescent wrench or like a 17. There's a total of 4 of the lines on the car. So these ones with these bubble flares are going to be going straight into the calipers. And then these ones here are going to be going from the chassis to the actual hard lines on the subframe. So I'll swap out these and then I'll show you how to do these ones. Lastly, we'll put the brake lines on that thing and then it can go back in. This is one of the 4 rear brake lines. Now again, like I said, there's one that's on the chassis. I already swapped it. You could you could do it with the subframe in there. It's going to be a little harder because everything's a little tighter. So with the subframe being out, I did that already. This is going to be really easy for me to show you because it's already out here. So we'll hop into it real fast. Very, very, very simple. These aren't hard to do. And the beauty of it is now you're getting this steel braided line versus this old 1990s like rubber, for some of you guys soft even line. A freaking 80s soft line, right? Pretty simple. Again, an 11 mil brake line wrench that'll go here. And then you'll take your crescent wrench or whatever size this is, which I don't really care because I'm not worried about it. And you'll break loose the brake line wrench on this far side here. And then you'll pretty much take it out completely. Once you get it loose enough, you can spin it by hand. The hard line will remain, this will remain here. Now we'll take our crescent wrench. I believe this is like a 17 or a 15 or something, but we're doing so many different things, it's easier to just grab one of these and then just do your best not to strip them or anything. So now that's loose, spin the whole line out. Take your new Condor one with the bubble flare side and you'll screw it into your caliper by hand, nice and straight, seat it, and then we'll throw the wrench back on there. And I can do it this way better. And we'll just give it a nice snug seat there. So now that's on. Now moving up to the top, what we're gonna do is, this line's gonna have a bend in it, and it's gonna sit something like that. The one thing you don't really wanna do is get this line all twisted. So you're gonna maintain position with your still braided, and you're gonna tighten in your hard line into it. And how tight is enough? Well, it's up to your discretion, but I like to get them gluten tight, just so I know that they're not going anywhere. But that should be sealed the deal, and then there you have it, your nice new steel braided line. So both sides look identical now. You can see that one and this one. That's how the Condor upgraded steel braided lines are going to look. So now the entire rear end is done with all of the Condor goodies that they make for this rear end. I think there's a couple other things actually. There's a few more things that Condor makes. I know there's a stud kit for the differential, so you can convert those top bolts to studs, so when you're removing or putting the diff back in, it's a lot easier to line up. I think that there is spacers, so you can space the diff down. But if you go on CondorSpeedShop.com, it's very simple. You can go in there and you can literally look up your chassis, and every part that Condor Speed Shop makes for your car is going to be on there. So you can go from suspension to interior to steering column stuff. Everything is going to be on the website. They make a ton of stuff. So make sure you check out Condor Speed Shop. It's time to get this rear end back in the car.
Single-handedly, all by myself, with no help from anyone in the planet, got this rear end in as smooth as possible. No problem. Damn, your fingers, bro. You freaking busted your finger? Damn, son. I don't know how'd you do that, because you weren't helping.
So the rear end's back in. It kind of gave me problems, but I want to make sure that you guys understand something. The main subframe bushings, there's a washer, and then there's that aluminum sleeve that goes inside of it. You can't really see it because it's like back behind here, and you'd have to get all weird. On this bushing, that's the bushing. You need to absolutely make sure that that aluminum centerpiece and the big washer that BMW sends you is in place, like meaning that the aluminum insert is going through the washer before you tighten up the big nut. If you don't and it's misaligned, you'll pinch the washer, you'll fold it, and you'll make a bunch of issues. You'll have to take it all back out and redo it. How do I know? Because I just did it. Now it's all back in. It was kind of like way too long, but there's not much to throwing in the shock. One tip and trick before I let you guys go. When you're installing the rear shock is getting this bolt here to line up into the eyelet of the shock. When you install the shock, put it in, turn the nuts maybe two turns, one turn maybe, so that the shock is nice and loose. Then you can lift up the control arm, and you have adjustment on your control arm to find that hole for the threads, and you have adjustment on your shock. So it's really easy to line up. Now you have two options for play. Normally I would like tighten down the shock up here, and then all of a sudden I'd have to get the control arm in the perfect spot to get it to line up. But now with the shock being loose and the control arm being loose, it's a lot easier to get that bolt to line up. So that's kind of the one big trick. Other than that, the rear end's pretty simple. The spring, rubber cup, BC spring. Put it all back together and it's back on the floor. So with that being said, appreciate you guys for always watching. Appreciate you guys for supporting the channel. Make sure you show some love to Condor Speed Shop and BC and Javier. I don't know if we can put his thing here. Make sure you give everybody some love for supporting the channel. Again, support those who support us. I'm gonna get this rear end thrown back together off camera. You don't really need to see it. It's pretty basic. I'll probably run through it in another video. But for now, stay safe, boys. Hold fast. All right, guys, you made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you want to support the channel in another way, you can head to holdfast-usa.com. Buy anything on the website. It helps us keep this content coming to you. Huge thanks to the sponsors as well who support all these different series that we want to bring you guys. Give them a follow, give them a like, tell them Micah sent you. As always, boys, stay safe.